something keeps distracting me out here, guys, right? So there is like a sun line on the houses outside, and I keep thinking there's a bus sat right outside my house, but there's not. Hello everyone, welcome to Nixie Bobs, where we are doing a take 2 of something that I did record a few weeks ago, but I decided I didn't really like the outcome of what I'd recorded. So we are going to do again an everyday makeup tutorial. This is what I wear every day of my life, other than on the weekends, where I do something a little bit more fancy and have a little bit more fun that you've seen. My hair currently is undone, and yes, humidity, look at the lovely jazzy flicky frizzy bits of baby hair that like to go everywhere. And oh my god, there's an ugly pimple on my forehead. That is not flattering. I also know, guys, that I need to do my eyebrows. I'm going to do those before tomorrow because I'm actually visiting my local Kat Von D stand in my local Debenhams, because I got talking to one of the ladies last week. She was like, oh, we'll book you in for a free makeup thing. I was like, okay. I always get nervous when other people put makeup on me because I'm really worried they're going to be like doing all this to me and changing me and giving me huge great eyebrows, none of which I like. But I have been really interested in doing Kat Von D makeup. Look how cute are my cups, guys. They just kick ass. Look, Halloween all year round. So now we've broken the ice, I am cleansed, toned and moisturised, Lizzo, and I am trying something at the minute which may even make it to the monthly favourite of July next month. And we're trying the Espa Pro Moisturiser. When I went for my spa day a couple of weeks ago, I cannot believe that was 2 weeks ago. It's 2 weeks into my best friend's wedding. Ah! And I've got a wedding cake to make. Ah! Scary stuff. When we went for that, it was Espa that did the spa treatments that day. So I ended up buying things, one of which is also a candidate for the monthly favourite next month. One of them was the Optimal Skin Pro Moisturiser. This is a tiny, I think it's 15ml. And I thought this was a 7ml. Dang it. I'm going to have to invest in another one. This thing has changed my skin so much. I've had a little bit of a minor breakout because I've been due on and whatnot, but my actual skin texture, when I remove my makeup, my skin feels like satin. It's crazy. Like, I thought nothing could ever beat Boots number 7. This is kicking its ass. The downside is that this is so expensive. A jar of this is like 50 odd quid. I haven't got 50 quid for moisturiser. Luckily enough, there are always small sizes on eBay, so if I do decide this is something I want to keep in my routine, I will just probably stock up on a load of tiny ones. It is a 55ml bottle though, if I do ever want to invest in that. But we're not going to talk about Espa right now because I do actually want to do a little review or talk on the spa day as a whole. Once cleansed, toned and moisturised. What was that? That was new. So it depends on what I'm going to do with my eyes. Sometimes all I do is a liner. At the minute I've been trying different things with some of my shadows. My everyday basic shadow at the minute is Urban Decay's Relish. This is a red shade and I've had this a number of months and it barely looks like I've touched the damn thing. I love the way this comes out. It is a really beautiful burnt red, and I think they missed a big trick by making this part of their summer shadow range, solo shadow range, and not making it part of Urban Decay Heat from last year, or even Petite Heat, because it is distinctly more red than any of the shades in Urban Decay Heat. Whether they do a Heat Generation 2 and include that, there's an idea for you guys. Remember me if you think of that. That is my everyday shade. What I tend to do is try and make myself look a little bit tired-eyed because I try to emulate how I feel when I go into certain situations, and that's how I like to be. I tend to be expressive through makeup. Not overly so, because the one thing I don't like to do when I'm doing an everyday makeup is feel like I've got to do something full of pizzazz. That is for my weekends. So what I did yesterday actually, and this ended up working a treat, so we're going to do it again today. I've been struggling with eye primers for a little while now. Nothing seems to stay on my lid. It always seems to crease no matter what it is. So yesterday I kind of came up with this bizarre idea, and it kind of worked, which was using Stay Don't Stray and Urban Decay's Primer Potion together. So I'm going to do that again because it seemed to work. I was like, oh, I've come up with something amazing. How clever am I? Also, I'm going to use 3 dots of this. It just went on the floor. In each eye, in the same kind of spaces. I am then going to use a couple of streaks of this, like so. I'm going to do another one next to do enough. I like to use this Tarte brush. This came with Aqua Sealer. and it is the advised brush they give, but I find it a really good brush for patting in and buffing in the primers to my eyes. It also means that I can use the brushes, because I always have a line here on this particular eye where things really settle into. So it means I can really use the bristles around the eye and settle it in. So hopefully it should keep everything nicely flat. And also using Stay Don't Stray, because I have quite veiny eyes, and I still obviously got that little scar up there where I had the injury at the start of the year, means that I can level out the colour and have a normal base shade without having a lot of darkness. We're going to add darkness again though, so it kind of contradicts it. So while those primers are setting, I'm going to sort out my brows. So my everyday is normally a choice of 2 brow products. At the minute, I'm getting rid of Brow number 6 because I've gone on to number 4, and I find that that is much better suited to me. I feel like this one was looking a bit harsh, and I also find that number 6 becomes, and you'll see it, and I'm going to put my hand underneath because I don't want these bits falling out. It's kind of become quite dry and bits have fallen out. But the other one is a complete budget buy, and I think I bought this in Superdrug, and it is, I think it's F, but I thought this was Mua, and I can't remember which brand this is, I'm really sorry, but it is basically exactly like Brow, but about 15 quid cheaper, and this works amazingly well. It's one of the darkest shades they did, and it looks quite chocolate brown when you hold it up like that, but it actually really seems to merge really well to your brow colour. So there's a complete brow hack in terms of price, because I say that kicks ass, and I would buy that again quite happily. So the other thing I always keep around me when I'm doing my makeup, however it is just a towel. This is literally my exclusive makeup towel now, so I keep this on my lap. I also have a brush cleaner, and I'm always cleaning my brushes, keeping them clean, and I literally just draw on this towel with them. The towel does get washed, don't worry, just really because then I haven't got to keep running to the sink or having a pot of water or having anything near me, and it just means that I can get the brushes nice and clean very quickly. Starting with my brows, I'm going to start with the Good Brow. I like to get quite a natural feathered look of my brow if it's possible. This is the distinctly better brow for doing things on. This one actually does like me. So with me, I tend to do brows a different way. I tend to start by filling in the middle first, and I don't know why I've gotten into the routine of this, but as I say, for me this just works, because I will come across to where my natural line is here, find any gaps in the middle, stroke down. We've gone a little harsh there, but don't worry, we can clean that up once we spool it at the end. Comb down. So we've already got a nice basic brow shape there, and it looks quite feathered, quite natural, and not too OTT, which is exactly what I like. I'm also taking the slanted brush slant ways this way. I don't know if that helps anyone. I am no master of this, guys, at all in any way, shape or form. And I used to line around here to get the base, but I don't do that anymore. I kind of stopped doing that just recently. So I've now filled in any gaps I had in that brow, and it still looks quite natural, quite feathered, not too drawn. So then what I do is try and follow the natural brow to get this part quite feathered on the inner side. So for example, my brows here are kind of diagonal, so I'll start drawing diagonally to get a very natural shape. But we've also got to make sure that we keep the line straight. So then as we get to these outers, I change direction and go slightly up more to the point where I find the very last bit of brow hair. And I find as well, leaning my hand against my face like that gives me a better form. And I should say, guys, if I'm doing this makeup, by the way, without talking to you, it takes sort of about 20 minutes, half an hour. While I'm talking to you, it takes a lot longer. We have one eyebrow done. So I will give that a quick spoolie through, especially on this part where I went slightly over. Brush up and to the side, and we have one eyebrow done. Simple as. Now this eyebrow is the one that's a pain in my ass, because I have quite a distinctive gap there where I overplucked once years ago, and it's never quite grown back. So this one I always have to be a bit more careful on. So I'm going to start here again in the middle and start getting all the brows lined into place. So again, we're down to this point. So again, I'm going to follow the hairs in the directions that they choose to go and manipulate the brush accordingly. The other thing I'm going to make sure is that my brows are level, because I don't want like one pointing down too much, because that would be really weird. Done. So I normally play up a little bit more of a bruised or a red look, just because that's my taste level, guys. It might suck, but it's my taste level. So I will start with more of a purpley shade first. So I have my old Vice 4, I think, here, and I'm going to use the shade Underhand right there. And I'm only going to use a dash of this. It's not going to be very heavy at all. I'm going to get a little bit on the brush and work it into my outer corner there. I have a blending spectrum brush there. And then I go to my favourite Relish. So with this, I'm going to use this a little bit more heavily. So I'm going to roll the brush in the colour, dab it, tap it, and then I'm going to draw that into my crease. Down slightly into here. Pull it out, back up. And I'm going to use my fluffier blending brush, my Spectrum one. And I've got my general toning right there. I know I've gone slightly under. I will clear this up with concealer in a little while. But that's my general shadow look until we get underneath my lashes. It's not too much, and it took seconds. I also don't put anything on the inner part, just because I think once that's blended out and you've got it on, it does have a natural darkness about it. Okay, so I did my other eye off camera because I figured you probably didn't need to see the same thing again. Plus that everyday basic, so I have gone slightly under with that as well. Don't worry, we'll clear it up. So eyeliner. This is one of the things that I think a lot of people struggle with most, and that's fine. That's really fine. I think eyeliner just takes a long while to really get right. So I've come in a little bit closer here, and I almost never get eyeliner on camera because I'm always off camera, but I also don't go too thick for just a general everyday look, so I'm going to try my best to keep on screen here. So again, I don't do my eyeliner as to what everybody else does. I start on the outer, and I start with one basic line here that we will eventually adopt to the way that the eye is going to be. Some people can literally come in and do it like that. I suck at that. I always end up with like black eyes if I do it that way. So we don't do that. And then I will come into my end of my lash line and meet the lines together. And just stop right before the corner so that we've just got quite a natural looking line. I am going to add a flick, so my flick will be just a little one, like so. I'm not finishing there, don't worry. And there we go, 2 eyes of liner, done really simply, not too OTT, and great for every day. It is just literally with eyeliner a case of, with eyeliner, especially liquid eyeliner, and when you're trying to do cat eye, it is literally just a case of practice all the time. I've had a good 10 years of practice of this, which is why my hand is so steady. If you're just starting out, keep going at it. It will just take you time to really master it. I also find sometimes if I hold my face, that helps. But then if I'm trying to get the line straight like I have here, sometimes I do close my eyes so I can see the line, which enables me to meet it properly. By the way, my liner for this was number 7 Stay Perfect liner, which is this one right here. Costs about £9 in stores, so it's not that expensive. But let's sort out our primer and our under eye concealer. I will do mascara just at a later time. Primers. I have many primers, but due to the humidity, I've largely been sticking to the same couple for a little while. One of them is Prime Time's Original from Bare Minerals. great one, silicone kind of feel, not silicone used. And the other one is Benefit's Professional, which is this one right here. Also the Pearl, which is also right here. But we're not going to use Professional today. I am going to use Benefit. I am also using Benefit Bare Minerals. I apologise. I also use, and you can't tell because I completely ended up getting rid of the label on here. Don't know why. This is Bare Minerals' Blemish Remedy mattifying primer. Now, as a mattifying primer, owing to the fact that it has got spot fighting ingredients in it, I don't use it all over. I found that it did upset my skin, but it is great to use on my nose to keep that matte. And I literally only need a blob of this. And you have to be careful, because the problem I find with these tubes, and I don't know if anyone uses these, experiences it, this breaks and cracks all the time when I have a tube of this. And I don't know if it's the way that the lid goes on, it just breaks the neck of the bottle, but it always does it to me. Don't know why. And I'll just use a dab of that and rub it all in under, because I always get oily around here, all over my nose, and sometimes just up here a little bit, just the T-zone really. And that keeps me very matte throughout the day. I always get a little bit of oil. I work in a very humid environment, so I'm always going to get a little bit. Now, in terms of prime time, that's all I use. One pump. This is the shadow, by the way. One pump will do my whole face without a problem. And I go blob, blob, and blob, and then I'll rub the rest into my chin as we go. I've actually been using a slightly stipple flat top brush for this recently, which is the blank canvas one, which is from, I think, a Glossy Box Past. And I just very simply rub it in like that. You can use your fingers. You can do it in any way you so desire. This is just the way I've been doing it. I avoid my nose, obviously, to my upper lip, around the cheeks, and obviously the forehead. Done. Easy. Under eye concealer. Now, some people like to put their under eye concealer over their foundation. I like to put mine under my foundation. It is your choice. I did try putting it over my foundation, but my brother actually pointed out and went, "What's wrong with under your eyes? It looked way too glowy." So for me, that just doesn't work. So my under eye concealer at the minute, and it's purely because I have so much of this stuff, is Tarte's Shape Tape. I'm actually using up a light at the minute. I think at the time when it was first out, I kind of panicked and bought light. Every time it kind of goes on a back order on QVC, I put another fair on there. And I've got like 4 in the bag, so I've got so much. And you know what as well, you really do get your money's worth out of this, because this lasts and lasts and lasts. I think they say change it within about 6 months or so. I get more than 6 months use out of this. So again, Shape Tape is what you make it. You can make it a very heavy thick concealer, you can make it a nice concealer. The one thing I do advise, I don't advise triangles. You don't need to use so much with this product, you really don't. I will do 1, 2 and 3, because this will clean up my shadow. And then I'll come back to this eye, 1, 2 and 3 again. I then use a bit up here just to help keep me matte. And I don't really have any huge blemishes right now. I've got a few little red ones here, but that will cover up under foundation, so I don't actually need any more right now. It's a fairly good skin day for me. So how do you blend this in? At the minute, I've kind of completely contradicted everything I said, and I have started wetting my sponges. Do not judge the sponge. Once you use them, they get a bit dyed out. I actually recently cleaned all my brushes. Thank you, dryness, for drying them within a day. That is the one good thing that comes from all the dry weather we're having. I literally washed them all within about 2 hours. Basically every brush was dry. I like using this one. This is again a number 7 one. This costs about £7. And for me, this is the ultimate sponge. It is so good. Literally, I mean, I can do my under eyes with it with the point, and I can do all over my face with it. Could not ask for a better sponge. And saying that, I've never had an actual beauty blender sponge. So with this, I pat, and I use the point to go right up under my lash line, and then I also use the point here to come right up under where I put my liner and just correct any shadow that I spill over from that. Come back in, make sure it gets into all the darkness, and then flip it round. And buffed in concealer, done in seconds. Very quick to get out the door with. I tend to look up while I'm doing this as well. It is again one of those things where once you've done it 100 times, you're just used to it. Coming up to my forehead, quick pat in. I'm going to just dab a bit there where the blemish was. I'd forgotten about that one. And then I also just pat anything left on my nose. And that's it. That was done in less than a minute. So easy, so simple, and so not overcomplicated. And you could do that with any concealer you want. You don't have to use Shape Tape for it. So I'm going to do it while that just settles in. I'm going to do mascara. And I don't use a lot of mascara every day anymore. I used to really put my lashes through a lot with Everyday mascara. I don't anymore. My everyday mascara is Tarte's Lights Camera Lashes. I love this mascara. Love it. It's so good for your lashes, and it also, you can make it again as much or as little as you want. So for me, I only really do one go on each eye. And again, it's only every day. I don't need big crazy lashes just to go to work with. And that's pretty much all I'll need. I don't need to go any more. It would just be too much if I did any more. And I always use more on the outer corner. I tend to like to have more of a length on this part specifically. I don't know why. That's just kind of my taste in things. Guys, random note, who's excited for Mamma Mia 2? I got to book the pre-book the tickets. There you go. Mascara done. And that's just enough for every day. It's enough to give my lashes a little lift without being too crazy. Also, if you love this, check eBay for this, because these are always going on eBay and they're not always too expensive. So now that's done, let's move on and get some foundation on, because now we're nearly at the end of this. I don't tend to do too much every day. At least I hope that's not too much. Do you guys think I put too much on for every day? Because I always thought I was a lot more sparing every day. So I'm actually going to use something that I never finished reviewing with you guys. And I wanted to, but I think, again, things were just kicking off at the time and there was a lot going on. It is Tarte's Shape Tape Foundation. While I'm still avidly waiting for QVC to bring the matte option to us, this is the hydrating, and it's actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It really pleased me a lot. And again, you can make this as thick or as thin as you want. So for me, I used that for one side of my face, which is 1X applied with one blob of that foundation. That's much. The only disappointment I had with this is that the lightest shade they brought to QVC was Fair Beige. I would have preferred the next one up, or down, whichever, the lighter option basically. I'm going to do 2 lines on my chin, 1 line on my nose. That's not enough for my nosy. And then on my forehead, I'm going to do 3 lines. And that is enough to cover my whole face, and it's not that much. It really isn't that much. You could, again, make this a really heavy foundation. You don't have to. Using my Beauty Blender again. And my voice goes all funny when I do this, but that's okay. This also just seeps into the skin in seconds. I don't go under my eyes with this product either. I've already got my Shape Tape on for that. I just come to literally around that circle. Covered up my blemishes. I'll just make sure I've got everything. And onto my forehead. By this point my hand normally starts to ache. This is when your ambidextrousness helps. So to just go around my eyebrows, I take the point very gently. I'm going to take the point there as well. Missed a couple of blobs up on my forehead there, guys. Under the chin with the excess. And done. Second, I always also like to just go around and make sure everything is in. This is the Tarte buffing brush that comes with Amazonian Clay Foundation. Fabulous brush. And I would just give a light dusting around with that and a buff and a stipple at the same time, just to make sure that all of the product is in evenly. Super soft brush, so it's not going to raise your skin in any way. And that's foundation applied in seconds. Now, this is optional, but I always give myself a little flick of Laura Geller's, well, this is Balance and Glow, because it's my least favourite out of the two, or Bake Balance and Brighten, or any powder foundation I have. I don't use a heavy amount. I'll probably use a couple of swirls in that, just really because then it gives, the thing I find with the hydrating option is it takes a long while to settle onto your skin otherwise. So this just gives it a little bit of a dryness a little bit more quickly, but also I'm not using loads. I have literally not reapplied on that brush at all. And that's a lot better now. Seconds. That's what I love about everyday makeup, seconds. You don't have hours and hours to spend. So to finish, I'm just going to add a little red to underneath my waterline because that's what I like. And I'm going to use my more finer detail brush for that. Again, you could just use eyeliner and be done. I just like to have a little bit of a redness and a little bit of a darkness. That is just, it's the eyes will be fanning me, guys, sorry. I always wanted, if anyone remembers like Gerard Way's early looks from the second MCR album, we always call it the first, but it's actually the second after I Brought You My Bullets, which is 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. Any of his looks from them when he always had heavy red under eyes, I always wanted to replicate that. I remember Helena coming out in like 2005 and being like, oh, that's amazing. Kind of the minute where my music started to change as well. I was always very taken by that music video. So I've just done a little red line under there, and that's enough for me. I'm not going to go again any more into it. I don't tend to wear blush on everyday makeup just because it's just not something I do. I feel like that would make too much, but I do add a light highlight. You could make this whatever you wanted. You could use any type of highlighter. I am still in love with this sleek highlighter compact palette. It is the Solstice palette. My 3 favourites are the yellow, the pink and this colour here. I don't tend to use the creamy one up here so much. What I love to do with this is literally merge these 2 shades together, and I'm going to try and bring this back, these 2 here, because they really marry cohesively. So I dab my brush into it, and then I'll just take that literally onto the cheek and the brow bone there, or the brow bone, the sort of under that bone there, just to give myself a little fleckle. And because I'm using a heavier, sort of more fluffy brush, we can buff it in nicely, and that just gives me a little glow on the cheek for healthy everydayness. And I'm done. That's like 20 minutes, guys, less me babbling on for several hours. But here is my everyday makeup. I really wanted to do this for you guys so that you could see it. Lip wise, I just tend to use a little bit of balm. I don't really do much more than that, because who wants to wear a lip colour every day? I like to keep my specials for literally the weekend, or going out, or skating. So there we are, every day with a light, with a kind of natural darkness, vampire, zombie, whatever you want to call it. Done. And that was what I really wanted to do for you guys this week, so we could have a little bit of a makeup meet and have a little talk. Thank you everyone for being here and watching this. If there's any type of makeup you'd like to see me do, please leave me a comment. I'm still in the market for the mental market for doing what am I thinking of? Trying Instagram makeup stuff, but like in a funny way. So if you'd like to see me do that, it will be more of a jokey one. I will not be doing it seriously in any way, shape or form. Let me know. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see everyone for more videos of anything. Bye.